Hello fellow hobbyists, be welcome, and join me in another GamersGrass basing guide. In today's video, we'll be creating an epic scenario for our models to tread upon. An ancient temple, set in a Mediterranean environment. By evoking the spirit of classical antiquity, this theme will enhance the atmosphere of your tabletop battles and fantasy quests. Featuring upright ancient columns, this basing theme might even offer interesting and creative ways to incorporate flying miniatures into the scene, allowing them to be fixed higher and without the use of pins. So, without further ado, come along with us and discover how you can create this theme for yourself. Start by preparing your hobby workspace. Lay about both the ancient columns and temple basing bits. Having all the bit options nearby will help you to plan the layout for each base. Before using any glue, try out different base configurations by combining the columns with the temple floor bits. Place the upstanding columns near the corners of the base, so they don't end up affecting your model's position. Use your miniatures to help you decide the layout. Use logic in the structural design by aligning and fitting each masonry element precisely. You may also group the capitals by type, the Doric versus the Corinthian. Put aside the loose, fallen column parts for now. We will glue them a bit later once we have the soil. Having decided the layout, proceed to glue the ground bits one by one using super glue. You can keep the bits on the base as you glue them to make sure they stay in place. Don't worry if some bits overhang beyond the edge a little, we will take care of these small parts next. Give the superglue a few minutes to dry completely. Then, with a pair of cutting clippers and an X-Acto knife, carefully remove any corner extras of the bits. Aim to make the edges integrate seamlessly. A smooth border will prompt your bases to look more like a cutout window of a larger scene. The next step is to add an earth texture to cover all the ground area beside the bits. Make sure to apply a thick layer of the paste to sculpt the soil relief and to hide the temple bits edges. You can use a spatula and an old brush for this. Fill the larger gaps between the bits so they all articulate with each other cohesively. Clean the borders with excess paste as you go. It's easier now than later. Let the paste dry thoroughly. Once it does, it's time to glue the loose bits we saved before. Specifically the columns that fell over time and are now laying over the temple structures and soil. Place these elements near the upstanding broken pillars, as if they once belonged there. This will prompt the authenticity of your scene, while also making it more narrative. Once everything is dry, water down some PVA glue and cover all the ground earth area with it, avoiding the bits. While the glue is in place, sprinkle the area with some sands or rock dust. This will improve the look of the earthy soil by a lot, making it much more realistic. Adjust the position of the sands by using a brush. You can also differentiate zones by adding bigger or finer sands to specific areas of the soil. Ideally, near the ruined structures, the debris should be rougher. Like before, try to maintain the borders smooth and clean. Leave the bases for some time to fully dry. Make sure to remove all the dusts and sands that didn't fix, especially over the bits, ensuring the bases are clean and all the details are crisp. The bases are built, and now it's time to bring them to life by using colors. In the next section, we walk you through the simple painting steps in order to recreate the look of pale limestone and clayish earth. We also opted to give the temple statues the look of ancient bronze, worn and oxidized over centuries, and we will show you how you can create such an effect. Let's get to it! Apply a beige primer over all the features of the bases. Try to reach all the surfaces of both ground and bits, minding the column's height. Time to gather your painting gear and tools. A wet palette is a great tool to help you blend and mix the paints. The first painting step is to base coat the soil with a mixture of light brown tones. Add darker and lighter spots on the base for color variation. Endeavor to reach all the earth areas in this step, including gaps between the stone pavement. Next, let's base coat all the structural elements of the base. This includes all the floor slabs, columns and friezes that may be present on the scene. We went with a mix of light pale beige paints, plus a yellowish color. Don't paint the statue parts at this point, unless you want some of them to be made out of this rock type. Blend the tones together, creating spots of each color. This will simulate the natural, complex hues of the rock. With the base coats done, grab a cardboard and let's move on to dry brushing. Start with an orange-brown tone for the soil area. This will begin to highlight the texture of this reddish terra rossa soil, typical in Mediterranean environments. Immediately after, dry brush all the temple features using a lighter yellowish beige. This will unify the previous colors a little bit and will start to highlight the details of the various shapes. A little paint on the earth near the slabs is nothing to worry about. It's time for a wash paint. This will serve as a way to add shadows to all the textures and will also darken the overall tone. Coat all the areas with a sepia-colored wash, leaving no earth or bit untouched. Take your time to reach all the spots and crevices all the way up to the base edges, ensuring you don't end up with any unpainted spots. Mind the column's body and capitals, coating every underside as well. Let the wash dry thoroughly. After the wash, let's repeat the dry brush steps. Once again, start by the lower earth area. And move on to dry brush the architectural pieces with the same beige tone we used before. The details and volume will get instantly much sharper with this step. Let's highlight the stones a little further. With an even lighter beige, dry brush the higher parts of the temple elements. Apply more controlled brush strokes and paint quantity, so that you reach just the high edge details of the bits. Feel free to keep adding white to the tone if you want to brighten up the highlights even more. The next steps will focus on a method for painting oxidized bronze objects, like those typically found in antiquity contexts. In this case, the remains of heroic statues. Using a fine brush, start by base coating the statue pieces with a dark greenish tone. Be careful in this step so that you don't spill the paint beyond the statues. Next, prepare a lighter green, a turquoise and a metallic bronze on a wet palette. Create random spots of these colors throughout the surface of each statue. These colors will mimic the various stages of the typical bronze oxidation, and will also serve as a base color for an interesting eye-catching rust effect. To increase the effect further, add a whitish green tone to the mix and paint clusters of tiny rust dots along the statues. Use a fine tipped brush here, aiming for micro details, and try to create different rust zones by clustering auras of dots on specific spots. Applying a varied mix of lighter greens and turquoise tones will prompt a richer effect. Once dry, apply a coat of dark green wash over the bronze items. This will darken the effect but will unify the previous steps as well. It will also increase the detail of the statues by adding more depth and volumetric shadows. Spread the wash evenly and don't be afraid to remove some of the paint if it starts to pool excessively. Make sure you reach the inside of the bronze helmets. The next step is to dry brush the pieces very slightly with metallic bronze paint, as if the outer edges of the artifacts still remain slightly preserved. Try not to overdo this step, but remember that it's you that decides how much oxidation has occurred here. Finish the effect by employing the same stippling technique as before, clustering rust in some spots. This time with a little bit less intensity and with more precision. And the bronze is done. Now grab an old brush and let's weather everything with some dry pigments. We use the light rust dry pigment over and around the earth areas. Its color simulates the red dusty feel of this typical clayish soil found throughout the Mediterranean. Cover the bronze statues as well, as if they are full of the same dirt that buries them. Against the stone structures, add some desert dust dry pigment. Smear the pigment against the surfaces, creating an aura. Apply the pigment near the borders as well, for an authentic look and better scene transition. The light tan color will mimic all the debris dusts that would logically deposit with the passing of time. The last step is to paint the borders with an intense black color. Paint slowly and carefully to avoid any mistakes, but notice how this makes the scene pop much more. At this point, we're only missing some Mediterranean vegetation. To make this scenario feel authentic, we chose a specific combination of grass tufts plus a laser plant. Darker and less vivid greens are a good option here, since we are aiming for a naturally dry environment. Altogether, this selection will faithfully portray the flora of this rugged landscape. We shall start by placing the larger Autumn XL grass tufts. Use a flat surface to keep the PVA glue at hand. Then dip the tufts underside in the glue and place them on the bases, making sure they stay in place. Place the tufts in areas where the soil is more abundant, creating the denser grass zones. Cluster one or two of them in some spots. For smaller bases, just one tuft is enough. Keep them along the edges of the bases, as if the dense vegetation continues beyond. You can leave some of the smaller bases without any of these tufts. Right after, some dark green shrubs. Add them mostly along the soil areas as well. These shrubs are perfect for this theme. Their color will mimic that of the olive trees, sacred in the ancient Mediterranean and Aegean. Because of this, add a good amount of these shrubs, clustering them in groups and creating irregular patches. Place them along the borders as well. We recommend placing at least one shrub on each base. Next in line are the broom flowers, yellow in color. Add one or two of these on the smaller base sizes, keeping them in clusters as well. They will add a strong pop of color and will mimic the typical Greek flower species, known as common broom or Spartium juncium. Remarkably, with its Greek name Sparto, this flower is deeply tied to the origin of the name Sparta, the famous Greek city-state. Now let's place some autumn 5mm grass tufts. These tufts have drier tips that fit perfectly in the dry Greek and Mediterranean landscapes. Add a good amount of these tufts, resembling more generic grasses. These tufts pair well with the larger Autumn XL we added earlier, so you can also place them nearby to blend the heights. With the higher tufts in place, let's now add the lower creeping grasses that still survive as the soil becomes scarcer. Starting with the dry green 2mm. Place them where you can still find empty soil spots and next to the other tufts. Doing this will mimic a natural transition as the grass becomes lower against the temple. You can divide the tufts if you feel the need, and aim for empty spots near the borders as well. Larger gaps between stones, where soil could accumulate, make great spots for these tufts. The last of the tufts will be the tiny beige. This is the utmost survivor of the grass, being able to persist where soil is practically non-existent. Their tiny shape also translates this. Find the smallest cracks between the stone slabs to place them. You can also mix them a bit with the former tufts, but try to create overall separate clusters. The best spots will be directly over the ruined pavement. This being said, you can of course add them to whichever spot you like. The only step missing, some laser plants. The dump cane is perfect for this dry Mediterranean theme. Bear in mind that they have a darker underside to simulate the shaded parts of the leaves. Start by simply picking them off the sheet. The plants are very resistant, so apply some strength in these steps, otherwise it will be harder. Shape them by curving the leaves using your fingers or a pair of tweezers. Bring the leaves up near the center, making them face outwards. And don't forget to check our dump cane tutorial for a detailed view on how to do these steps. Use a tile with super glue to help dip the plant's middle area, and glue them directly on top the grass tufts, pressing down for a few seconds. Group them in clusters by color type, around the grassy areas and in whichever spots you see fit. The dump cane is ideal by mimicking the real Verbascum olympicum or Greek mullein, very commonly found in the Aegean countryside. Start by gluing a larger plant group, followed by a smaller one in the center, achieving a more realistic effect. You can also glue the plants with your figures already on the bases to better decide their position. And our temple is complete, echoing the voices of the ancient Mediterranean. Thank you for embarking on this odyssey with us. Catch you in the next one.